This week, we're going to talk about organizing your evaluation essay. So, you should have your rough draft readily available to take a look at as I go through um, my slides today. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans." I chose this verse hopefully as an encouragement to you as you guys are nearing midterms and things like that, just to help you remember your purpose. We're going to take a look at Hello Writer Chapter 5, which is all about generating a thesis and organizing your writing. So, we already talked about audience a little bit before we actually wrote our rough drafts. And so, section 5.2 in Hello Writer wants you to answer a couple of questions about how to identify your audience. Number one, what are your readers likely to know or not know about your topic? You don't necessarily want to focus on the things that they already know about your eatery. You want to focus them on the things that they don't know, because that might sway, however they view your recommendation. What is your relationship to your audience? Is this professional? Is it friendly, right? We're not writing necessarily a friendly evaluation here. This should be formal and academic. Um, you should understand what kind of biases your audience might bring to the reading of your work. So, think about who your audience is. If you're writing to college students, what opinions are they already going to have about specific coffee shops to study in, things like that. Um, you also want to be able to um, tell your audience what you want them to do or think after reading your work. And so that should be appearing somewhere in your conclusion, um, that you give them that recommendation and then you give them some sort of action to take. And then finally, in what mode is your work most likely to be read? We talked about modes of communication with your multimodal portfolio, right? So, is it going to appear on a blog? Is it going to appear in a newspaper? Um, where do you think that this would appear? In a journal, right? You want to consider that and think about how it will affect how your readers process the essay. How are they going to view it based on, is it digital? Is it in print? Um, those sorts of things. Next is generating a working thesis. I've always referred to a thesis as a roadmap, because it's telling you and your reader where you are going to go in your essay. And so our textbook has a lot of good suggestions on what a thesis is. Your thesis statement will typically appear at the very end of your introduction paragraph. Okay. It often acts as a really nice transition between your introduction and your first body paragraph. So I encourage you to put it at the end of your introduction. Um, a thesis statement is like a fancy way of saying a main idea, like your main point in the essay, right? So it's whatever you're trying to argue. And I'll show you guys a kind of a sample in just a moment. So a thesis needs to be focused and specific, right? So for this essay, you're going to need to tell me what the eatery is, what criteria you're using, and what recommendation you're making. It shouldn't be a statement of fact. So, In and Out is a hamburger joint is not a thesis statement because that's a statement of fact. It needs to have both a topic and a claim, right? So you have to have that opinion woven in there, because that's what you're trying to prove throughout your entire essay. You should always be going back to your thesis statement in your body paragraphs. And so it needs to be answering a question. And in this case, right, we're looking at what is your recommendation on this eatery based on the criteria that you have chosen. So it needs to be able to answer what is your recommendation. A good thesis is arguable and worth arguing. Just because something is arguable doesn't mean that it's worth arguing for. It needs to be worthy of having a discussion. And so if you're writing a thesis statement that isn't worthy of a discussion, there's no point in arguing it, then it's probably not a good thesis statement. You may have been told in the past that your thesis statement should only be one sentence, and that's not necessarily true. Your thesis can be longer than one sentence, maybe 1 to 3 sentences. You don't want it to take up your entire introduction, but you don't have to limit yourself to one sentence. And it should provide a plan for the rest of your essay. So, when I said it should list your criteria, you can then use that criteria and discuss each of the criteria in separate body paragraphs. And so that's telling your reader, hey, these are the things that are coming up that I am going to discuss. You want this in your introduction because you don't want your reader to walk away after your introduction not knowing what you're going to write about. You want them to keep going. And so that's why we need a thesis statement. As college writers, you really shouldn't be announcing anything. So don't say, in this essay, I will blah, blah, blah. Or in this paragraph, I'm going to argue. Just state it. Just state it as your claim. Avoid first person because I know that it's you that's making this claim and not anyone else. So we're not going to be able to obviously trade partners today to look at our thesis. But I want you guys to evaluate your own thesis in your rough drafts. And I want you to see if it meets the following criteria. Okay, so all that criteria that I just talked about. So go ahead and pause this video. You are going to underline or highlight your thesis statement, and then you're going to make sure that it meets all of the criteria that I just discussed on the last slide. And if it doesn't, then you need to edit it. You need to fix it. Okay, so go ahead and pause and go ahead and evaluate your own thesis statement based on this criteria. So, if you're looking for something to kind of help you write your thesis statement, this is sort of a good starting point. And you can sort of fill in the blanks here. So, you'd put, the name of your eatery is whatever your recommendation is. Whether that's you want people to go there or not. And then tell me the criteria that helped you come to that conclusion about your eatery, helped you make that recommendation. So again, if you want to use this sort of as a starting point, obviously I want you guys to branch out from using sentence frames, but this might help you sort of kickstart if you realize that your thesis statement in your essay that you've written is not necessarily up to par at this point. Okay, so then this is the assignment that you guys are going to do to turn in on Blackboard today. You are going to create a topic outline for the body paragraphs of your essay. And so The textbook in 5.5 goes over what a topic outline is. So however many body paragraphs you have, you are going to outline it kind of in bullet point format. Um, and so you may have like in one um, body paragraph, whatever your criteria is. And then your subtopic would be, how that or how your restaurant, how your eatery meets that criteria. And then whatever evidence you used to support how it meets the criteria or doesn't. And so you guys can go ahead and type this if you would like, or you can do this on like a separate piece of paper, um, and handwrite it out and take a picture of it and upload it to Blackboard. But however many body paragraphs you have, you are going to do a topic outline for just the body paragraphs, okay? So again, if you need to check in chapter 5 to see like a better example, to see more of an explanation of what a topic outline is, please refer to the textbook on that. And then you'll need to submit this on Blackboard. This will be your participation and will tell me that you actually watched this lecture, and that you participated in today's class. Here are your reminders. So make sure you have a hard copy of your rough draft on Thursday for peer editing, and then you're going to read Everything Sad is Untrue, 183 to 227. I've posted on Blackboard a couple of bullet points that um, you can take a look at to help you with your annotations that will prepare you for the discussion, so you know kind of what your weekly writing activity is going to be on and what our discussion questions are going to be on. Okay, so don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions via email. I will try to get back to those as soon as I can. Thanks.